In this inspiring story, a small farming community in Sierra Verde comes together to defend their land against corporate encroachment and environmental challenges. Led by Ethan Harper and his innovative partner, Isabella Monroe, they combine ancient agricultural wisdom with cutting-edge technology to build a sustainable future. Through resilience, unity, and adaptive strategies, they protect their heritage and set an example for generations to come. Watch their journey as they face unforeseen obstacles, strengthen their bonds, and triumph in the battle to preserve the land and its legacy. Early morning in the vast, windswept countryside of Texas was a time when nature itself seemed to hold its breath. A soft, pearly fog drifted slowly over the rolling fields of Harper Ranch, a sprawling estate passed down through generations, rich in history and steeped in tradition. Here, far removed from the urban clamor of modern life, lived Ethan Harper, a third-generation farmer whose deep connection to the land was as enduring as the rugged terrain itself. For as long as he could remember, Ethan had believed that the earth spoke in a language all its own. Each sunrise, when the first golden rays of light pierced the thick fog and bathed his fields in a warm glow, filled him with a profound sense of renewal. To him, the land was not merely soil and water, it was a living archive of his ancestors' sweat, dreams, and sacrifices. Every furrow in the field, every weathered fence post, whispered the stories of those who had come before him, urging him to honor their legacy. Yet, in recent months, a disquieting disturbance had begun to tarnish this idyllic morning ritual. As Ethan made his customary rounds at dawn, his experienced eyes fell upon an unsettling sight, a line of vehicles idling along a narrow country road that skirted the edge of his property. The tires of these cars pressed into the soft earth, leaving deep impressions that marred the natural contour of the land. What began as an occasional inconvenience, tourists seeking a shortcut or a momentary rest, had evolved into a recurring violation, an affront to the sanctity of Harper Ranch. Sitting on the weathered porch of his farmhouse, Ethan's gaze wandered over the horizon as the fog slowly receded with the rising sun. The serenity of the morning was shattered by the unwanted intrusion of modern machines on his ancestral soil. A mixture of anger and sorrow welled up within him. He remembered the words of his grandfather, who once said, "The land is our most sacred inheritance. It speaks to us through the rustle of the corn and the murmur of the creek. Treat it with respect, and it will always protect you." Those words, once a source of comfort, now stirred in Ethan a burning determination to restore the harmony that had been disrupted. Haunted by the sight of rubber on his fields and the careless disregard of those who treated his land as a public parking lot, Ethan resolved that something must be done. He retired to a small, cluttered study in the farmhouse, where the walls were adorned with faded photographs of his forefathers, dusty ledgers, and old blueprints that mapped out the ingenious irrigation system his ancestors had once devised. For generations, this system had not only sustained the crops during droughts but also maintained the delicate balance of the soil, an ancient method that combined practicality with the wisdom of nature. Immersed in these relics of the past, Ethan began to envision a solution that was as elegant as it was effective. What if he could adapt the time-tested techniques of his forefathers to create a natural barrier, one that used water itself as a deterrent? The idea took root slowly at first, nurtured by memories of evenings spent listening to the gentle trickle of water through channels, as if the land were whispering its secrets. He imagined installing modern moisture sensors and automated valves along the boundaries of his property, allowing him to control the flow of water with precision. With a carefully directed surge, the irrigation system could soften the soil just enough to create a slippery, impassable zone for any vehicle daring to cross the invisible line. It was a silent, yet powerful, form of retribution, a way for the land to speak for itself. With renewed purpose, Ethan reached out to a small group of local engineers and agricultural experts, inviting them to Harper Ranch to discuss his visionary plan. They gathered in the expansive barn, a venerable structure that had stood as the heart of the ranch for decades. Amid the creak of old beams and the soft glow of twilight filtering through dusty windows, the group pored over ancient blueprints and modern schematics alike. Lively discussions ensued as they debated the best way to integrate state-of-the-art technology with traditional methods. The project, tentatively named EarthGuard, was designed to honor the legacy of the past while forging a new path for sustainable farming. Ethan explained, "Our land has sustained my family for generations. It has weathered storms and droughts, nourished our crops, and sheltered our dreams. Now, it is being disrespected by those who see it as nothing more than a convenient parking lot. We will show them that this earth will defend itself. With EarthGuard, every drop of water will be a signal, a warning that this land is not to be trifled with." Over the following days, work on EarthGuard began in earnest. Men and women from the community, stirred by Ethan's passion, came together in a flurry of activity. Old pipes were replaced and recalibrated, new sensors were installed along the property lines, and solar-powered valves were integrated into the existing irrigation network. The project was both a technical challenge and an emotional journey, a reaffirmation of the community's commitment to preserving their heritage. In quiet moments at dawn, when the fields were still cloaked in a soft haze, Ethan would walk among the rows of crops, feeling the cool, damp earth beneath his boots and listening intently to the gentle murmur of redirected water. In those moments, he felt the presence of his ancestors, as if their voices, strong and resolute, were urging him onward. By the time the first tests were conducted, EarthGuard had already proven its worth. A small convoy of vehicles attempting to cross the newly fortified boundary found their tires slipping on the softened, waterlogged soil. Though the deterrent was subtle and nonviolent, it sent a clear message: the Harper Ranch would no longer tolerate the careless intrusion of those who did not respect its sanctity. As the golden sun climbed higher, the early morning fog gave way to a day of promise. Ethan, with a deep sense of purpose and a heart full of determination, knew that this was only the beginning of a long journey. The battle to protect his land was far from over, but with the wisdom of the past as his guide and modern technology as his ally, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. In that moment, standing on his porch as the day unfolded, Ethan Harper vowed that he would defend his heritage at all costs, ensuring that the legacy of his ancestors would continue to thrive and inspire for generations to come. In the wake of the triumphant morning that had seen EarthGuard come to life, the days that followed at Harper Ranch brought with them a new set of trials that would test Ethan Harper's resolve and the unity of his community. Although the innovative irrigation system had already proven its worth by repelling those who dared to trample on his land, subtle signs began to hint at deeper challenges lurking on the horizon. It started with an unsettling shift in the weather patterns. As summer ripened, the once predictable climate of the Texas countryside became erratic. Some mornings, the air would be heavy and still, while by noon, sudden gusts of wind would sweep across the fields, stirring up dust and debris. Ethan, accustomed to the gentle rhythms of nature that had been his lifelong companion, began to notice that even the water channels were behaving unpredictably. The moisture sensors installed along the boundaries of the ranch began to send mixed signals, at times indicating an overabundance of water in one area while simultaneously reporting a troubling dryness in another. This dissonance left Ethan wondering if the very earth he so trusted was undergoing a transformation he could neither predict nor control. Late one afternoon, after a day spent monitoring these erratic readings, Ethan sat alone on the creaking porch of his farmhouse, the fading light casting long, uncertain shadows over the fields. He recalled the old wisdom passed down by his grandfather: the land speaks to those who listen. Its mood can change like the wind, swift and unexpected. You must learn to adapt, or the earth will remind you that she does not suffer fools. Those words, once a source of comfort, now took on a foreboding tone. The imbalance in the irrigation system wasn't just a technical glitch, it was a sign that nature itself was shifting, perhaps as a response to environmental stresses beyond anyone's control. Ethan knew he couldn't face this challenge alone. He summoned his small team of trusted engineers and local agricultural experts to the barn, which had become the informal command center of Harper Ranch. In the cool, dim light of the old structure, its walls adorned with relics of the past and faded blueprints of ancestral ingenuity, he laid out the latest sensor data. The numbers painted a worrying picture. Water levels fluctuated more wildly than ever, and the carefully calibrated channels that had once functioned as an impenetrable barrier were now erratic. The team debated long into the night. Some suggested that a shift in the local water table, possibly due to an extended drought or unforeseen human impact, was to blame. Others believed that these changes might be the harbinger of a more widespread climatic anomaly, a reminder that even the most ancient methods of land management had to evolve with the times. Isabella Monroe, whose modern expertise had quickly made her an indispensable part of Ethan's efforts, proposed an immediate upgrade to the EarthGuard system. "We need to integrate a real-time weather monitoring module," she argued, her voice measured but insistent. "If we can adjust the water flows dynamically, responding to both surges and shortages, we can maintain the delicate balance of the soil and keep our defenses intact." Her suggestion sparked a flurry of activity. Over the next several days, a dedicated crew installed new, state-of-the-art weather stations powered by solar panels. These devices were designed to capture minute fluctuations in temperature, humidity, and wind speed, feeding the data into an upgraded control system that would automatically recalibrate the water distribution across the ranch. Meanwhile, as the technical team toiled to tame the erratic nature of the water channels, another storm was brewing on the horizon, this time in the form of corporate ambition. Rumors began to swirl that a large agribusiness corporation, Agronova Industries, was setting its sights on acquiring land in the region. Known for its aggressive tactics and profit-driven ethos, Agronova had long sought to expand its industrial farming operations into areas rich with heritage and history. Local whispers grew louder as company representatives were seen in nearby towns, distributing glossy brochures that promised immediate profits and high-yield crops under their modern systems. Ethan was deeply troubled by these developments. To him, the land was a living legacy, a mosaic of memories, traditions, and a bond that spanned generations. The idea of selling even a fraction of Harper Ranch to a faceless corporation was anathema. At a community meeting held in the refurbished barn, Ethan addressed a gathering of local farmers, ranchers, and concerned citizens. "Our land," he said in a deep, resolute tone, "is not merely an economic asset to be traded on the market. It is the heart and soul of our heritage, built by the hands and hearts of those who came before us. Agronova seeks to turn our legacy into cold, mechanized production. We must stand together to ensure that our traditions and the natural balance we've cultivated remain intact." The room buzzed with determination as neighbors, many of whom had also experienced similar pressures on their own properties, voiced their support. A consensus emerged: the community would not allow corporate greed to dictate the fate of their land. Inspired by Ethan's fervor, Isabella proposed expanding the cooperative's efforts beyond mere technical enhancements. "We need to document our methods and share our story," she declared. "Let's create a blueprint for sustainable, community-driven agriculture, a model that others can follow and that Agronova cannot simply buy out." Thus, as the days grew longer and the new weather stations began feeding reliable data into EarthGuard, a parallel initiative was set into motion. The community rallied to form a formal cooperative, tentatively named Green Legacy, dedicated not only to defending their lands but also to promoting sustainable practices across the region. Weekly town hall meetings turned into vibrant forums where veterans of the land shared time-tested techniques, and young innovators presented ideas for integrating cutting-edge technology with ancestral wisdom. Amid these bustling activities, Ethan found solace in solitary moments at dusk, when he would walk the familiar paths between the fields. The soft murmur of the newly optimized irrigation channels and the rustling of the wind through the ancient oaks provided a gentle reminder that the land was both resilient and receptive. In these quiet hours, he often reflected on the words of his grandfather, words that had once comforted him and now steeled his resolve: "Change is inevitable, but the spirit of the land endures in those who honor it." As spring began to break through the lingering chill of winter, the combined efforts of the community started to pay off. EarthGuard, now enhanced with real-time weather responsiveness, adapted seamlessly to sudden showers and unexpected gusts. The cooperative's model of shared knowledge and resources not only preserved the integrity of Harper Ranch but also began to attract attention from neighboring regions. Farmers from other counties visited Sierra Verde to learn about the innovative system and the cooperative strategy for defending heritage against modern encroachment. In a moment of quiet triumph, as the sun set on a particularly clear evening, Ethan stood on the porch of his farmhouse and surveyed the land. The fields glowed with renewed vitality, the water channels ran clear and purposeful, and a deep sense of unity permeated the air. It was a reminder that, despite the challenges posed by both nature and corporate ambition, the strength of community and the wisdom of the past could forge a path to a sustainable future. In the wake of the storm and corporate pressure, life at Harper Ranch began to shift into a new phase, one defined by collaboration, shared dreams, and the determination to turn challenges into stepping stones toward a better future. As winter faded and spring's tender green emerged, Ethan Harper and his growing cooperative, now known as Green Legacy, found themselves on the brink of transformative change. The days following the intense autumn storms were busy with activity and planning. With the newly upgraded EarthGuard Plus system stabilizing the water channels and a network of solar-powered weather stations providing real-time data, the technical foundation of the cooperative was more robust than ever. But technology was only part of the equation. Ethan knew that the true strength of their movement lay in the unity and resilience of the community. And so, he set out to build bridges, both literal and metaphorical, between old traditions and new ideas. It began with a series of community outreach events. In the spacious, renovated barn that served as their meeting hub, local farmers, ranchers, and even curious residents from nearby towns gathered to share their experiences and aspirations. These gatherings were not simply meetings, they were vibrant celebrations of heritage and innovation. Stories of past hardships, tales of droughts, floods, and relentless intrusions, were interwoven with accounts of modern breakthroughs, such as the successful implementation of adaptive irrigation technology. One elderly farmer, Henry Alvarez, recounted how his grandfather had once used simple, handmade tools to divert water during a severe drought, while a young engineer named Marcus detailed how drone-based monitoring now allowed for instantaneous adjustments in the water flow. The contrasting narratives, though separated by time, merged into a powerful testimony to the enduring spirit of the land and its people. Ethan listened to these stories with a quiet pride. He had always believed that the lessons of the past were the key to overcoming future obstacles. Now, as he looked around the bustling barn filled with hope and determination, he realized that their shared history was the foundation upon which new alliances were being built. "We must remember," he said during one of the sessions, his voice steady and resolute, "that every hardship we face is an opportunity to learn. Our ancestors built this land with nothing but grit and ingenuity, and today, we honor them by uniting our old wisdom with modern innovation. Together, we can forge a future that respects our heritage and thrives in the present." Inspired by these words, Isabella Monroe took the initiative to establish partnerships with local universities and technical institutes. She envisioned a series of workshops and research projects aimed at creating a sustainable model for rural development, one that could serve as a blueprint for other communities facing similar challenges. Working with a group of enthusiastic students and seasoned professors, she launched the Green Roots Project. This initiative focused on experimental farming techniques, renewable energy integration, and the application of precision agriculture. Through field experiments, data collection, and interactive seminars, the project provided practical knowledge that was immediately applicable to the cooperative's operations. One crisp spring morning, as a gentle rain began to tap against the glass windows of the barn, a breakthrough was announced. A team of local tech enthusiasts, led by a bright young coder named Ethan E.J. Johnson, had developed an algorithm that could predict sudden changes in soil moisture with impressive accuracy. This new tool, integrated into the EarthGuard Plus system, would allow the cooperative to preemptively adjust water flows, thereby preventing the kind of erratic behavior that had plagued them during the storm. The news spread quickly, and soon, demonstrations of the new predictive model were held in the barn, drawing applause and renewed optimism from all present. But the challenges were not limited to technical obstacles. The looming presence of Agronova enterprises continued to cast a shadow over the community. Despite their successful defense against previous incursions, the specter of corporate encroachment remained a constant threat. Agronova's slick advertisements and high-pressure sales tactics had infiltrated nearby towns, tempting some farmers with promises of immediate financial security. The cooperative, however, was determined to stand firm. At a particularly charged town hall meeting held in the renovated community center, Ethan addressed the assembly with passion. "Our land is our lifeblood," he declared. "It is not for sale to anyone, not even to those who offer money in exchange for our legacy. We must work together to ensure that our traditions, our values, and our way of life remain intact. Only by uniting can we protect what is rightfully ours." His words resonated deeply, and soon, the idea of expanding the cooperative into a formal, legally recognized entity began to take shape. Meetings were held with local legal advisors and financial experts, and plans were drawn to create a cooperative structure that would allow members to pool resources, share knowledge, and collectively invest in innovations. The vision was not merely defensive, it was a proactive strategy for long-term sustainability. The cooperative would also launch educational outreach programs, aiming to teach future generations the delicate balance between tradition and technology. These programs, which included hands-on workshops, mentoring sessions, and even field trips to model farms, promised to instill in young people a deep respect for the land and an understanding of the value of sustainable practices. As the community embraced these new initiatives, the cooperative's impact began to ripple beyond the borders of Harper Ranch. Regional farmers took notice of the innovative methods being implemented at Sierra Verde. And soon, neighboring communities reached out to share their own experiences and challenges. The cooperative's model of green legacy started to inspire a broader movement, one that celebrated the merging of ancient agricultural wisdom with modern technology. News outlets picked up the story, and documentaries were filmed, further amplifying the message that sustainability and heritage could coexist harmoniously. Amid this whirlwind of activity, Ethan found moments of quiet reflection on long, solitary walks along the restored irrigation channels. The gentle murmur of water flowing through the carefully re-engineered pipes, the rustle of leaves in the soft breeze, and the distant calls of birds returning home at dusk all reminded him of the eternal rhythm of nature, a rhythm that, if listened to closely, could guide and sustain even the most ambitious dreams. By the close of Chapter 3, the seeds of a revolution had firmly taken root. The Harper Ranch was no longer just a family farm besieged by external threats, it had transformed into a thriving, dynamic community united by a shared vision of sustainable prosperity. Ethan Harper, with his unwavering commitment to his ancestors' legacy, and Isabella Monroe, with her innovative spirit and technological expertise, had set the stage for a future where tradition and modernity walked hand in hand. As the cooperative Green Legacy began to solidify its foundations, the threat of Agronova enterprises loomed larger than ever. In the wake of the initial resistance and newfound unity, a cold wind of corporate ambition began to sweep across the region. Rumors of clandestine meetings, aggressive buyout offers, and covert sabotage attempts had reached Sierra Verde, intensifying the tension among the local farmers and ranchers. One early morning, as a pale sun struggled to break through a slate-gray sky, Ethan Harper stood at the edge of his fields. The once familiar murmur of the EarthGuard Plus system now carried an undercurrent of uncertainty. New sensor data indicated minor fluctuations in water levels, and although the system had adapted well during the recent storms, there were signs that something was amiss. Ethan's intuition, honed over decades of living in harmony with the land, warned him that these anomalies were not merely the result of unpredictable weather, they were the subtle hand of interference. Later that day, as the cooperative convened in the refurbished barn, a sense of urgency filled the room. The air was thick with a mix of perspiration, determination, and worry. Local engineers, tech specialists, and veteran farmers gathered around a large table cluttered with blueprints, sensor readouts, and handwritten notes. Isabella Monroe, who had quickly become the technological brain behind many of the cooperative's advances, presented the latest data. "We're seeing irregularities in the water flow that can't be explained by weather alone," Isabella explained, her voice calm but firm. "I suspect there's an external influence, perhaps someone is tampering with our system. We need to consider the possibility of sabotage." A hushed murmur of concern spread through the crowd. The notion that Agronova might resort to underhanded tactics to undermine their progress was a bitter pill to swallow. Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Our land is our heritage, and no one has the right to tamper with it. We must fortify our defenses and remain vigilant," he declared. That evening, as the cooperative's members dispersed with heavy hearts and determined minds, Ethan stayed behind in the barn, reviewing the sensor logs and surveillance footage from the new drone network. In the dim light of his laptop screen, he noticed a series of suspicious patterns, brief interruptions in the data stream, almost like deliberate glitches, occurring at odd intervals. The evidence, though subtle, suggested that someone with technical expertise might be trying to disable or confuse their monitoring systems. With a deep sigh, Ethan resolved that they must counter these threats not only with stronger technology but also by uniting the community more than ever. Over the next several days, Ethan, Isabella, and their trusted team worked around the clock to upgrade the system's security protocols. They installed encrypted communication channels between the sensors and the central control unit, and a backup power system was implemented to ensure uninterrupted operation during any potential tampering attempts. The new security measures, dubbed Guardian Shield, were designed to not only protect their technology from external interference but also to provide real-time alerts if any anomalies were detected. Meanwhile, news of these technological skirmishes began to spread beyond Sierra Verde. Local newspapers picked up the story of a small community fighting against a corporate giant's insidious tactics. The narrative struck a chord with many, and soon, support flowed in from neighboring regions. Farmers and activists alike began to reach out, offering resources, technical expertise, and moral support. Social media buzzed with hashtags like #DefendTheLand and #GreenLegacy, and community leaders organized rallies to raise awareness about the need to preserve rural heritage in the face of industrial encroachment. At one such rally, held on a crisp spring afternoon under a clear blue sky, Ethan took the stage at the town square of a nearby village. His presence, rugged and resolute, commanded attention. "Our land is not a commodity to be bought and sold by faceless corporations," he proclaimed. "It is the heartbeat of our communities, a living testament to the sweat and sacrifice of generations. We will not allow Agronova or anyone else to strip away our identity. We stand together, united by our love for this land, and we will fight for its future." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices rising in a powerful chorus of defiance and hope. Among the supporters was a young woman named Emily Carter, a recent college graduate with a degree in environmental science, whose passion for sustainable farming had been ignited by the stories of communities like theirs. Inspired by Ethan's words, she vowed to contribute her expertise to the cooperative and to help build a sustainable future that honored the past while embracing modern innovation. In the days that followed the rally, the cooperative expanded its operations. The Green Legacy network grew stronger as new members joined the cause, and collaborative projects sprang to life. A joint venture was launched with local tech startups to refine the predictive algorithms in EarthGuard Plus further. Workshops were organized to educate the community about cybersecurity and system maintenance, ensuring that every member, regardless of age, could contribute to safeguarding their shared resource. However, the battle was far from over. Late one evening, as a bitter wind swept through the fields, Ethan received an anonymous email containing detailed schematics of their upgraded system, and ominous, cryptic warnings to abandon this path. The email chilled him to the core. It was clear that someone with significant resources and knowledge was determined to sabotage their efforts. Determined not to be cowed, Ethan convened an emergency meeting with the cooperative's leadership. "We cannot allow threats like this to fracture our unity," Ethan said, his voice steady despite the weight of the warning. "This is a call to arms, for our technology, our heritage, and our future. We must redouble our efforts and ensure that every part of our system is secure. Let this be a reminder, our fight is not just against natural challenges or corporate greed, but against any force that seeks to undermine our right to preserve our land." The meeting ended with a renewed sense of determination. Over the following weeks, the cooperative implemented even more rigorous security measures. They reached out to experts in cyber defense, and a small task force was established to monitor and counteract any digital incursions. Every member of the community, from seasoned farmers to tech-savvy youth, contributed to the collective effort, proving that the strength of their movement lay in its diversity and shared commitment. Despite the external and internal challenges, the spirit of Sierra Verde only grew stronger. The cooperative's efforts to blend tradition with innovation had not only saved their land but had also transformed it into a symbol of hope, a beacon for others facing similar struggles. As the harsh winter gradually gave way to the promise of spring, the fields of Harper Ranch began to flourish anew. The upgraded irrigation systems ran like clockwork, the soil retained its vitality, and the community's collaborative spirit was evident in every corner of the property. In a quiet moment one evening, as the last light of dusk faded into a gentle twilight, Ethan stood on the porch of his farmhouse. The soft murmur of the newly fortified water channels mingled with the whispering wind, carrying with it the voices of his ancestors. In that profound silence, he felt not only the weight of past hardships but also the boundless hope of a future reclaimed by unity and perseverance. As the harsh winter began to yield to the promise of early spring, tension and determination reached a fever pitch at Harper Ranch. The cooperative Green Legacy had grown from a fledgling idea into a formidable force defending not only their land but an entire way of life. Yet, the pressure from Agronova Enterprises had escalated, and the digital threats against their systems had grown bolder. Now, every member of the community knew that the time for decisive action had come, the moment when they would have to stand together, not only to repel further intrusions but to secure their future once and for all. It began on a blustery morning when a thick, gray sky hung low over the hills of Sierra Verde. Ethan Harper awoke to the sound of wind howling through the ancient oak groves and the steady drip of water from the newly fortified channels. But amid the routine hum of nature, something was off. While reviewing the latest sensor data on his rugged tablet, Ethan noticed erratic fluctuations in water flow and intermittent communication dropouts that could not be attributed solely to weather. His heart sank as he recalled the anonymous threat they had received weeks earlier, a message that warned them to abandon this path. Now, those warnings seemed to be materializing. Ethan gathered Isabella Monroe and the core team of engineers in the barn, which had long served as the nerve center of their operations. Under the dim light of overhead lamps, amidst walls lined with historical blueprints and relics, the group scrutinized the incoming data. Isabella's fingers flew over her keyboard as she cross-checked the sensor logs with the latest drone footage. "I'm seeing deliberate interference," she said, her voice low and steady. "Someone is trying to disrupt EarthGuard Plus again. These glitches are too consistent, almost like a coordinated cyber attack." The room fell silent. The very idea of external tampering with their hard-won system, especially from a corporate titan like Agronova, struck a nerve with everyone present. Ethan's weathered face hardened with resolve. "We built EarthGuard to defend our land using the wisdom of our ancestors and modern technology. It's time we show them that we will not be intimidated," he declared. With that, the team set to work, hastily upgrading their digital defenses. They integrated additional encryption protocols, installed redundant communication links, and even brought in a specialist from a nearby university renowned for cybersecurity research. The new security suite, christened Guardian Shield, was meant to be their last line of defense against any future sabotage. As the days passed and the cooperative's fortified system began to hold strong against repeated attempts at intrusion, a new challenge emerged that would test their unity like never before. Rumors of Agronova's aggressive expansion had reached a fever pitch in the region. High-profile seminars and slick marketing campaigns in nearby cities promised quick profits and high yields, tempting farmers with the allure of immediate financial relief. Some even began to question if joining the corporate juggernaut might offer a simpler solution in these uncertain times. The community, once united by a shared commitment to tradition and sustainability, found itself at a crossroads. Divisions threatened to splinter the movement, and heated debates erupted during town hall meetings held in the renovated barn. At one such meeting, held on a chilly evening under a sky of swirling clouds, longtime farmer Harold Simmons stood and addressed the assembly. "I understand the lure of instant cash," he said, his voice cracking with emotion. "But our land is not just a commodity to be sold. It's our heritage. Every furrow in this field tells a story. We cannot let outsiders, with their fancy promises and cold logic, erase the legacy we've fought so hard to preserve." His impassioned plea resonated deeply with many, and slowly, the voices of dissent subsided. Isabella, always the pragmatic optimist, took the floor next. "We have built something unique here," she explained. "Our cooperative model, our EarthGuard system, our Guardian Shield, all of these are proof that tradition and innovation can coexist. We must trust in our ability to shape the future on our own terms." Motivated by these discussions, the community decided to formalize their cooperative efforts. Under the banner of Green Legacy, local farmers, ranchers, and even a few urban advocates joined forces to create a legally recognized entity. Their mission was clear: to pool resources, share expertise, and defend their land against both environmental unpredictability and the encroaching influence of large agribusiness. Meetings became regular, lively affairs where every idea, from ancient soil preservation techniques to cutting-edge AI-driven weather models, was debated and refined. One bright spring morning, as soft sunlight filtered through a few lingering clouds, the cooperative held its first major public event, a regional conference on sustainable agriculture and community resilience. Held at a local high school gymnasium turned community center, the event brought together farmers from several counties, environmental scientists, and even representatives from local government. Ethan Harper, standing at the front of a packed auditorium, recounted the trials and triumphs of Harper Ranch with measured gravitas. "Our land," he proclaimed, "is our living legacy. It has fed our families for generations and will continue to do so as long as we honor the wisdom of our past. Today, we choose unity over division, resilience over exploitation. Together, we are stronger than any corporate giant." The conference was a resounding success, sparking discussions that would ripple outwards into neighboring regions. News of the cooperative's innovative model spread like wildfire through local media and social platforms, inspiring other communities to adopt similar strategies. The narrative was compelling: a ragtag group of farmers, armed with nothing more than ancestral wisdom and modern technology, had taken on a corporate behemoth and emerged victorious, not through brute force, but through unity, innovation, and an unyielding commitment to preserving the land. As the conference ended and attendees returned to their farms with renewed vigor, Ethan found himself reflecting on the journey thus far. Late one night, under a canopy of glittering stars, he walked alone along the newly stabilized irrigation channels. The gentle trickle of water and the rustle of the wind seemed to form a harmonious chorus, a reminder that the land was not only resilient but also forgiving to those who nurtured it. In those quiet moments, he could almost hear the echoes of his ancestors, voices of wisdom that reassured him that every challenge faced was a step toward a future reclaimed by the people. By the close of Chapter 3, the seeds of revolution had been firmly planted. Harper Ranch was no longer a solitary farm besieged by modern intrusions; it had become the beating heart of a movement dedicated to preserving rural heritage through sustainable innovation. With the combined efforts of the Green Legacy Cooperative, the power of the EarthGuard and Guardian Shield systems, and the unwavering spirit of its people, Sierra Verde had transformed into a living testament to what unity, tradition, and modernity could achieve together. As winter's chill finally gave way to the gentle stirrings of early spring, the atmosphere at Harper Ranch grew both hopeful and tense. The Green Legacy Cooperative had, over the past months, built a strong foundation, a seamless blend of ancestral wisdom and modern innovation that had not only safeguarded the land but had also united the community in a common purpose. Yet, amid these hard-won successes, a new challenge loomed like an approaching storm on the horizon, one that would test the very core of their unity and resolve. It began on a cool, overcast morning when Ethan Harper, while checking the readings from the upgraded EarthGuard Plus system, noticed unusual fluctuations in the sensor data. The automated valves, which had previously adjusted water flow with near-perfect precision, were now responding erratically to even slight changes in the weather. At first, Ethan suspected that the unusual spring temperatures might be causing minor inconsistencies. However, as he cross-referenced the data with the solar-powered weather stations, a disturbing pattern emerged. The system's readings were being interrupted by brief, unexplained signal dropouts, almost as if someone, or something, was tampering with their network. That evening, under a sky heavy with gathering clouds, Ethan convened an emergency meeting in the refurbished barn, now the nerve center of Green Legacy. The room, filled with anxious farmers, local engineers, and technology specialists, hummed with urgency. Isabella Monroe, who had become the cooperative's technical visionary, projected the latest sensor graphs on a makeshift screen. Her tone was calm yet urgent. "Look at these anomalies," she said, pointing to the intermittent data spikes and drops. "They're not random. I believe we're facing deliberate interference. Someone might be trying to sabotage our system." A murmur of unease spread through the crowd. The thought that Agronova Enterprises, the corporate giant determined to swallow up local farms, could resort to covert digital warfare was as chilling as it was infuriating. Ethan's gaze hardened as he absorbed the implications. "We built EarthGuard to harness the power of nature and our ancestral wisdom," he said in a measured voice. "Now, we must reinforce it. Our land is our legacy, and we will not allow outsiders to break our bond with it." Over the next several days, the cooperative mobilized like never before. A dedicated team, led by Isabella and assisted by a group of local tech enthusiasts, set to work upgrading the system's cybersecurity protocols. They installed encrypted communication channels, redundant backup circuits, and additional moisture sensors in vulnerable areas. This new suite of enhancements, dubbed Guardian Shield, was designed to protect the digital infrastructure of EarthGuard Plus from any further attempts at tampering. Every upgrade was a testament to the community's resolve to stand firm in the face of corporate aggression. At the same time, the threat from Agronova Enterprises was growing more insistent. High-pressure seminars and aggressive marketing campaigns in nearby urban centers began to lure farmers with promises of instant profits and hassle-free management. Flyers were distributed, and slick presentations touted the benefits of industrial-scale agriculture. Many in the region, worn down by the unpredictability of modern farming and the relentless challenges of climate change, found these offers tempting. But Ethan and the leaders of Green Legacy knew that the cost of such deals would be far greater than any short-term financial gain. It would mean the loss of culture, heritage, and a way of life that had been nurtured for generations. At a pivotal town hall meeting in the renovated barn, the air was thick with both tension and determination. Under the soft glow of hanging lanterns, Ethan addressed the assembled community. "Our land," he declared, his voice resonating with heartfelt conviction, "is not a mere commodity for sale. It is the soul of our community, a living archive of our ancestors' struggles and triumphs. If we succumb to the lure of quick profit, we sacrifice our identity and our future. We must stand together, adapt to these modern challenges, and protect our legacy." The meeting stirred powerful emotions. Many farmers recalled tales of hardship and endurance from their own families, of times when the land provided even in the harshest conditions. A veteran farmer, Clara Jimenez, tearfully recounted how her grandfather had fought off adversity using nothing but determination and faith in the earth. "We have a duty to honor those memories," she said, her voice trembling yet resolute. "Our traditions are our strength. We must not let corporate greed tear them asunder." Inspired by such passionate pleas, the cooperative agreed to form a formal alliance, a unified front that would not only fortify their technological defenses but also leverage collective bargaining power against the predatory tactics of Agronova. They expanded their Green Legacy network to include neighboring farms and organized a series of workshops on digital literacy, cybersecurity in agriculture, and sustainable farming practices. Isabella spearheaded the development of an enhanced digital platform, Guardians United, which integrated real-time data from EarthGuard Plus with an online community forum. This platform allowed members to share information, alert each other of potential threats, and coordinate rapid responses to any disruptions. During one late-night session, as rain pounded softly on the barn's roof and the team huddled around a flickering laptop screen, Isabella's fingers danced over the keyboard. "We're implementing an AI-driven predictive algorithm," she explained, her eyes bright with determination. "It will analyze not only weather patterns but also detect anomalies that could indicate sabotage. This way, we'll be one step ahead, able to counteract any interference before it affects the system." Her words ignited a spark of hope in the room, and a round of determined applause filled the space. Despite the technological and communal advances, the shadow of Agronova still loomed large. Late one night, as a cold wind rattled the windows of the barn, Ethan received an anonymous email that chilled him to the core. The message contained detailed schematics of their upgraded system, accompanied by a cryptic warning: "Abandon your defiant path or face the consequences." The message was a stark reminder that their struggle was not only against natural uncertainties but also against calculated, human-driven hostility. Determined not to be intimidated, Ethan called for another emergency meeting. With a steely gaze and a voice that brooked no argument, he addressed the gathering: "This is not just a test of our technology, it is a test of our spirit. We have come too far and sacrificed too much to let fear dictate our future. We will double our efforts, secure our systems, and show the world that our commitment to our land is unbreakable." The room, filled with resolute faces and nodding heads, affirmed his call to arms. The community vowed to remain vigilant, knowing that every moment of unity was a step toward preserving not just their farms, but their very way of life. In the following weeks, as the upgraded Guardian Shield took full effect and the cooperative's vigilance remained unyielding, the threat from Agronova gradually began to recede. The persistent, unseen hand of sabotage was thwarted at every turn by the robust new security measures. More importantly, the community's united stand against corporate encroachment became a symbol of rural resilience, a message that echoed far beyond Sierra Verde. Late one clear night, under a canopy of glittering stars, Ethan and Isabella stood together on the porch of the farmhouse. The gentle hum of the secured water channels, the distant murmur of night critters, and the soft whisper of the wind combined to create a symphony of calm assurance. In that reflective moment, Ethan felt the deep, unspoken bond of the land, a bond forged through generations of struggle and perseverance. He knew that while the challenges of modernity were relentless, the spirit of unity and the wisdom of the past would always light the way forward. As the seasons shifted and the lingering chill of winter finally gave way to the warm embrace of early summer, the people of Sierra Verde found themselves standing at a pivotal crossroads. The cooperative Green Legacy had already weathered storms both literal and metaphorical, from erratic weather patterns and digital sabotage to the relentless pressures of corporate giants. Yet, as summer unfolded in a blaze of light and possibility, a new test emerged, one that would determine whether the hard-won unity and spirit of the community could endure in the face of unforeseen challenges. It began with subtle signs. At first, the changes were almost imperceptible: a slight dip in crop yields here, momentary glitch in the sensor data there. But soon, these minor irregularities grew more pronounced. The enhanced irrigation system, EarthGuard Plus upgraded with Guardian Shield, which had proven its mettle in earlier crises, started showing unpredictable behavior. Moisture levels fluctuated beyond expected ranges even on clear days, and the smart controllers, programmed to adjust water flow dynamically, occasionally failed to activate during crucial moments. Ethan Harper, now more a symbol of resilience than ever before, spent long hours poring over the data. Late into one humid summer night, he sat alone in the barn-turned command center, his eyes scanning endless rows of sensor readouts projected on a weathered whiteboard. The numbers were erratic, patterns that defied all previous logic. A gnawing feeling of unease settled over him, as if the very soul of the land was calling out for help. It wasn't just a technical glitch, it felt like the Earth itself was shifting, adapting to new stresses, or perhaps even warning them of a deeper imbalance that had yet to reveal its full face. The following morning, as dawn broke with a subtle mix of gold and rose, Ethan convened an emergency meeting. The atmosphere in the refurbished barn was tense. Farmers, engineers, and members of the cooperative gathered in tight clusters, their expressions a blend of concern and determination. Isabella Monroe, now the linchpin of the cooperative's technological advancements, presented her latest findings. Our data indicates that the water channels are not only affected by weather but also by changes in the subsoil structure, she explained, pointing to a series of graphs that depicted sudden dips in moisture levels. It's as if the Earth is undergoing a transformation, a shift that could be linked to long-term environmental changes or even to previous overuse of certain parts of our land. The room fell silent. For many, this revelation was both alarming and disheartening. The cooperative had built its strength on the promise of harnessing natural processes to protect and nurture their heritage. Now, if the land itself was changing in ways they couldn't control, what would that mean for the future of Sierra Verde? Ethan, ever the steady voice of reason, spoke up, "We must remember that nature is resilient. It adapts, and so must we. This challenge, like all those before, is an opportunity for us to deepen our understanding of the land and to refine our methods. We have the wisdom of generations behind us and the innovative spirit of our youth to guide us forward." Encouraged by his words, the cooperative resolved to launch a series of field experiments designed to better understand the shifting dynamics of the soil. Teams were dispatched to various sections of the ranch, collecting samples and monitoring changes in soil composition, moisture retention, and even microbial activity. Local agronomists and environmental scientists from a nearby university were brought in to lend their expertise. Their research revealed that years of intensive farming and modern pressures had indeed begun to alter the natural composition of the soil, a slow, but undeniable evolution that could jeopardize the delicate balance that had sustained the community for generations. Amid these technical challenges, another front of struggle opened up, the creeping influence of external forces determined to reshape the region. Despite the community's resolute stand against Agronova Enterprises, the corporate giant had not ceased its efforts. Slick advertisements began to appear on local billboards, and influential speakers at regional conferences touted the benefits of industrial-scale agriculture. Their message was simple: join the modern revolution and reap quick, substantial profits, or be left behind. For some smallholders already burdened by environmental uncertainties, the promise of immediate financial relief was tempting. At a particularly charged town hall meeting, the tension was palpable. In the refurbished barn, now filled with both passionate defenders and anxious skeptics, voices clashed over the future path. "We've seen what happens when we sacrifice our values for short-term gain," argued a seasoned farmer named Leonard Ruiz, his voice raw with emotion. "Our land is not a commodity, it's our legacy. If we give in now, all the wisdom of our ancestors will be lost forever." His words were met with nods and murmurs of agreement, yet a countervoice emerged from among the younger farmers, advocating for a pragmatic blend of tradition and modernity. Isabella stepped forward, her gaze steady and filled with quiet determination. "The answer is not to choose between our heritage and progress," she said. "We must find a way to integrate both. Our upgraded systems, our field experiments, our research, all of this is evidence that technology can be our ally in preserving what matters most. We will continue to enhance our methods while staying true to the core values that define us. Her appeal, grounded in both data and heartfelt conviction, gradually quelled the rising tensions, and the community began to rally around a renewed vision for the future. In the days that followed, the cooperative redoubled its efforts on all fronts. The research teams refined their techniques, and new amendments were made to the EarthGuard Plus system to account for the evolving soil conditions. Advanced sensor arrays were recalibrated, and additional layers of data security were added to the digital infrastructure. A collaborative project with local universities, dubbed the Soil Symphony Initiative, was launched to monitor and model the intricate interplay between water, soil, and climate in real time. This initiative not only provided critical insights but also became a training ground for young scientists eager to merge classical agricultural practices with modern technological innovations. At the same time, community outreach programs expanded. Weekly gatherings in the town hall transformed into interactive workshops where members of the cooperative shared their latest findings and brainstormed solutions collectively. Elders recounted tales of past hardships and triumphs, weaving in lessons of resilience that had been passed down through countless seasons. Younger farmers listened intently, absorbing every word, and many began to volunteer for field research, eager to contribute to the collective knowledge that was rapidly becoming the backbone of their defense. One clear afternoon, after a particularly productive day of experiments and discussions, Ethan took a solitary walk along the restored irrigation channels. The gentle, steady flow of water provided a soothing counterpoint to the complexity of the issues at hand. As he paused near a bend in the channel, he looked out over the expanse of his land, a patchwork of vibrant fields and ancient trees, and felt a deep, abiding connection to the earth. In that quiet moment, as the sun's warmth began to soften the edges of the day, he was reminded that even in the face of profound change, the spirit of the land endured. Every challenge, every setback, was simply another chapter in the ongoing dialogue between humanity and nature. Though the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, the cooperative's unity provided a source of strength and optimism. The emerging data, though initially alarming, began to reveal patterns that could be harnessed to further refine their techniques. And as word of the Soil Symphony Initiative spread, more communities reached out, eager to learn from the experience of Sierra Verde and to adapt its methods to their own landscapes. In that moment, standing amidst the murmurs of a resilient land and the determined spirit of a united community, Ethan Harper felt a renewed sense of purpose. The embers of unity that had been kindled in the face of corporate threats and environmental upheavals now burned brightly, an unquenchable flame that promised to light the way forward. Together, they would not only protect their heritage but also forge a future where the old and the new merged seamlessly, crafting a legacy of sustainability that would endure for generations to come. As early summer melted the last vestiges of autumn's chill, the landscape of Sierra Verde transformed before the eyes of the resilient community. Harper Ranch, once a solitary beacon of tradition, now pulsed with a renewed vigor that seemed to echo the heartbeat of the land itself. Over the past months, the Green Legacy Cooperative had grown from a determined band of farmers and local innovators into a robust network of shared purpose and sustainable ingenuity. But while their technological advancements and collective spirit had withstood many challenges, a new crisis was emerging, a crisis that would force them to confront the very limits of nature and human ambition. It began subtly, with minor anomalies that at first seemed like isolated glitches. The upgraded EarthGuard Plus system, now fortified with the Guardian Shield protocols, had managed to repel digital sabotage attempts and secure the boundaries of the ranch. Yet, even as the system performed well under normal conditions, it began to show signs of strain during periods of extreme weather. Rainfall, which once flowed predictably through the carefully engineered channels, now surged unpredictably. Some sections of the field became waterlogged, while others suffered from unexpected dryness. The local climate, already erratic in recent years, had entered a phase of turmoil that no amount of technological wizardry could fully control. Ethan Harper, who had always relied on the land's subtle signals, found himself spending long hours under stormy skies, inspecting the water channels and recalibrating sensors by hand. With every drop of rain and every gust of wind, he felt a mix of awe and trepidation. The land, it seemed, was evolving, reacting to broader environmental shifts that threatened to undo the delicate balance the community had fought so hard to achieve. In these moments of quiet intensity, as he walked along the ancient irrigation channels, Ethan recalled his grandfather's words, "The earth is ever-changing. It rewards those who learn to adapt." Determined not to be overwhelmed by forces beyond his control, he resolved to lead the cooperative into this new chapter with the same courage and resourcefulness that had carried them through past hardships. Meanwhile, Isabella Monroe spearheaded an initiative to integrate even more advanced forecasting tools into EarthGuard Plus. Collaborating with environmental scientists from a nearby university, she helped install a network of next-generation weather stations and soil monitors that provided real-time data on not only moisture levels but also nutrient content and microbial activity. The idea was to create a system so responsive that it could preemptively adjust to the whims of nature. Dubbed Renewal Grid, this upgrade promised to protect the crops and maintain the integrity of the land by dynamically redistributing water and enhancing soil health. As test after test confirmed the efficacy of Renewal Grid, the cooperative's confidence soared, but the specter of uncertainty still loomed large. The external pressures did not ease. Agronova Enterprises, still intent on expanding its industrial footprint, ramped up its promotional campaigns in nearby towns, casting its slick, profit-driven vision as the only way to secure a future in agriculture. Their glossy brochures and high-powered seminars promised quick returns and easy success, tempting some of the more financially pressured farmers. However, the overwhelming majority of the Green Legacy members, steeled by their shared experience and united by the bonds of community, rejected such offers outright. They knew that what they were building was not measured in dollars and cents but in the rich heritage of the land and the sustainable future it promised. In town hall meetings that stretched late into the night, heated debates ensued. Old-timers reminisced about how, in days gone by, the land had sustained them through drought and flood with nothing more than careful stewardship and deep respect. Younger members, versed in modern science, argued that embracing new technologies was the only way to ensure survival in an increasingly unpredictable world. Through it all, Ethan's steady voice reminded them that their strength lay not in choosing one path over the other, but in blending the wisdom of the past with the innovations of the present. "Our heritage is our greatest asset," he declared one evening, "and it is up to us to protect it by evolving with the times. We must use every tool at our disposal, be it ancient knowledge or cutting-edge technology, to secure our legacy." As the summer days lengthened and Renewal Grid began to stabilize the flow of water across Harper Ranch, the cooperative's efforts bore fruit in more ways than one. Fields that had once shown signs of stress now burst with vibrant green growth, and the delicate interplay of water and soil worked in harmony once again. Community events grew more frequent, with workshops on sustainable practices, demonstrations of advanced irrigation techniques, and even open-air classes on environmental stewardship drawing crowds from far and wide. Yet, in the midst of these achievements, the community remained vigilant. Late one clear night, after a particularly successful day of data collection and field adjustments, Ethan and Isabella stood together on the porch of the farmhouse. The night was still, the only sound the gentle hum of the Renewal Grid and the soft rustle of leaves in the cool breeze. In that moment, surrounded by the enduring beauty of Sierra Verde, they felt a profound sense of accomplishment mixed with a cautious optimism. They knew that nature's challenges would never cease, and that the journey toward a sustainable future was ongoing. But together, with their hearts united and their resolve steeled by both tradition and innovation, they were ready to face whatever the future might bring. As the gentle warmth of late spring gave way to the golden embrace of early summer, the time had come for Harper Ranch and its united community to seal their legacy. Under a brilliant, cloudless sky, the fields of Sierra Verde shimmered with life, a vibrant tapestry of thriving crops, resilient soil, and carefully engineered water channels that pulsed with a steady, life-giving rhythm. For years, Ethan Harper and his steadfast partner, Isabella Monroe, had led the Green Legacy cooperative through storms both literal and metaphorical, battling unpredictable weather, corporate encroachment, and the relentless march of time. Now, as the community gathered for one final celebration of their hard-won triumph, every heart beat in unison with the spirit of the land. On a bright morning that seemed to herald a new era, the cooperative organized a grand festival called Harvest of Triumph. The expansive grounds of Harper Ranch were transformed into a vibrant arena of celebration and reflection. Colorful banners fluttered in the soft summer breeze, and long tables laden with fresh, organic produce stood as a testament to the bounty nurtured by both ancient wisdom and modern innovation. Local musicians played soulful melodies on acoustic guitars, and families, young and old, wandered among rows of flourishing crops, marveling at the seamless blend of tradition and technology. Ethan, whose weathered face told a story of decades spent in close communion with the earth, took center stage on a makeshift platform built of reclaimed wood. His eyes, reflecting both the hard-fought memories of the past and the hopeful light of the future, scanned the crowd with a mixture of gratitude and resolve. "Our land," he began, his deep voice resonating across the fields, "is not merely a stretch of soil and water. It is our heritage, the legacy of our ancestors, and the very essence of our identity. Today, we celebrate not just the harvest before us, but the spirit of unity, perseverance, and innovation that has sustained us through every trial." As Ethan spoke, images of the journey flashed before his eyes: the early mornings when the fog had cloaked the ranch in mystery, the relentless efforts to build and protect Earthguard and Guardian Shield, the countless hours spent in heated discussions, workshops, and community forums, and the moments of quiet introspection when he felt the whisper of his ancestors urging him onward. His words were a call to honor that legacy, to pass it on intact to future generations, and to ensure that the story of Harper Ranch would inspire all who believed in the sanctity of the land. Isabella stepped forward next. Her presence a symbol of the successful fusion of tradition with modernity. "We have proven that ancient wisdom can work hand in hand with today's technology," she declared, her voice carrying a quiet power. "Our digital platform, Guardians United, now connects us with farmers across the region, turning isolated struggles into a collective force for sustainable progress. This is more than just a triumph over adversity, it is a blueprint for a future where our heritage is not only preserved, but also enhanced by innovation. Let our journey serve as an example that when we stand together, nothing can break the bond between our community and the land." The festival unfolded with a palpable energy that rippled through the crowd. Workshops and live demonstrations showcased the very best of both worlds: traditional techniques of crop rotation, natural pest control, and handcrafted tools were presented alongside modern practices like AI-driven irrigation management and drone-assisted crop monitoring. Visitors listened intently to testimonies of hardship and hope, from elders recounting stories of droughts and floods, to young innovators explaining how real-time data was now guiding water flows to optimize growth. Each narrative, woven into the fabric of the day, was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of nature. As the afternoon sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long, golden shadows across the land, the community gathered for a final moment of reflection. Families sat on blankets scattered across the fields, sharing homemade meals and swapping stories of past struggles and future dreams. The air was filled with laughter, music, and the quiet hum of conversation, a symphony that celebrated both the continuity and the change that defined their way of life. In a quiet corner of the festival, Ethan slipped away for a solitary walk along the familiar paths that wound through the restored irrigation channels. The steady trickle of water, now perfectly balanced by the renewal grid, created a soothing rhythm that echoed the timeless heartbeat of the land. As he paused to take in the beauty of the rejuvenated fields and the silhouette of ancient oak trees against the twilight, he felt an overwhelming sense of peace. The land, which had once been besieged by intrusions and neglect, now stood proud, a living monument to the power of unity, perseverance, and respect for nature. That night, as the stars emerged one by one in the vast Texan sky, the people of Sierra Verde returned to their homes with hearts full of hope and minds brimming with possibilities. The success of Green Legacy had not only secured their immediate future but had also sown the seeds for a broader movement, a movement that would inspire other rural communities to reclaim their own heritage through sustainable, community-driven innovation. In the final hours before dawn, Ethan and Isabella stood together on the farmhouse porch, watching as the first light of a new day painted the horizon in hues of rose and gold. They shared a look of quiet triumph and mutual understanding, a silent promise that the legacy of Harper Ranch, forged through decades of struggle and collective effort, would endure for generations to come. The end.